So, NetSetGo information session. Once again, thanks so much for tuning into this webinar. The points that we're going to cover is who the Netball Victoria NetSetGo team is, what is NetSetGo, the tiers, the pack and equipment information, the NetSetGo events that we run throughout the year, terminology, as well as the Netball Vic and NA relationship. As I mentioned before, we'll also look into My Netball because NetSetGo is quite different to junior senior if you are used to that platform. And lastly, we'll look into resources as well. So the development team. So we've got Tanya Gamble, who you just introduced to you before. So she's a community and junior netball manager. Tanya also looks into the inclusion space, diversity, schools, and NetSetGo, of course. And then you've got myself as the junior netball coordinator. So in the development space, hang on one second. We deliver webinars just like this. We run the information sessions. We also run coach training. We produce Victoria collateral. So if we have specific events within Victoria, we will, as we mentioned, produce specific collateral in relation to them. We often visit centres as well, so whether that be just to touch base with them or if they require more support. We also deliver the Suncorp NetSetGo experiences as well as NetSetGo Week and further initiatives. So in the administration team, which is otherwise known as affiliate services, we have Jen Camilleri, who's the affiliate services manager, as well as Kelsey Owen. So as the title suggests, they look into all things NetSetGo administration. So they're the #1 contact for the My Netball support, whether that be the NetSetGo centres or the participants. Kelsey's phone number is what is featured on the website, and she also handles that NetSetGo inbox. They approve NetSetGo centres, so when centres apply each year, they're the people that approve them. They deal with the pack inquiries, the equipment inquiries, and the vouchers inquiries, and I'm sure there's plenty of them. Oh, 1 second, sorry guys. And as I mentioned before, they look into that NetSetGo email and also the phone numbers as well. As I mentioned before, if you do have any questions during the webinar, make sure you just send it into that chat function. So what is NetSetGo? So NetSetGo is the official starter program for netball. It's also administrated by all the states and territories, so it's not administrated by Netball Australia. It's designed by Netball Australia for children aged 5 to 10 years old, and it's a fun, friendly, welcoming environment. So NetSetGo centres, they can be the clubs, they can be associations or leagues, they can be schools, and they can even be private providers. So a private provider may be someone such as a YMCA, or it might just be a community group that's really passionate about netball and wanting to, become a NetSetGo centre to run a NetSetGo program. So the tiers. So the tiers is a question that we often have here at Netball Victoria. We receive it through our administration side of things as well as in the development. We're often asked questions constantly when we're out in the field as well. So NetSetGo is broken down into the 3 tiers. So the first tier being the net tier, so that's the ages up to 5 to 6 years old. The set, so that's that 7 to 8 target age. And then the Go, which is the 9 to 10. You may also hear the Go modified competition as well. So we're going to break down these tiers even further. But just to start off with, the tier ages, they're purely just a suggestion. So what you might find is you have a, let's just say a 7-year-old child that's really new to netball and they've never touched a ball. They might not have the skills for it. Instead of pushing them into a set program, what you'd want to do is introduce them into a net or a skills program that may be suited for their skills a bit better, where they can increase their confidence, enjoy the program that whole lot more, because at the end of the day, all you want for NetSetGo kids is to want to come back and love the sport. So the net tier. So the net tier is the beginner program. So it's all for those fresh participants that are completely new to netball, may have never been involved in sport at all, or never learned how to catch, pass, the works. It's all about teaching the fundamental motor skills. And it's especially teaching those fundamental motor skills through minor activities and games. So games such as Rats and Rabbits as a warm-up or other bits and pieces. It's really, really important to just make sure that it's constantly fun for them. The set tier. So once again, it's teaching those fundamental motor skills. The skills that you're being taught in set, they're a little bit more advanced than the normal net. And like the net, similar to net, it's about netball activities and games as well. The biggest difference is in slowly incorporating modified games or modified match play. So modified match play might be something such as corner ball or even a little practice match at the end of training, just so kids can slowly be introduced to what match play is, what netball is especially. And so once they reach that go tier, it's not a big shock for them. The go tier. So the go tier is something that we often get questions about. You're still developing those netball specific skills. It is modified match play. So modified match play has to be all under 9 competitions. So all under 9 competitions should be a go. And it's also modified rules. So to look into this a little bit further, with that go tier, as I just mentioned, all under 9 competition must be a go competition. And you must be using those modified rules. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up a new screen. So just hang on a second. So to find those modified rules, what you need to do is go to the Netball Victoria website, get involved, play, Suncorp NetSetGo, scroll down, and then under the resource library, if you select that, scroll down once again, coaching, and then you'll have that modified rules summary. So if you're ever interested or you're ever wanting to run a go competition, especially if you're in an association, I highly recommend having a look at these modified rules, which we of course suggest, well, use for a go competition. They're really, really great. And it's also a great education piece to pass on to parents as well, as they're ever asking what the rules are. All right, so hang on 2 seconds while we jump back into that other screen. Awesome. So modified match play yet again. So modified can be through the goalposts. So you might be using a goalpost that's a lower size compared to normal. So not that 3.05 meter ring. Just ignore the background noise.
Sorry guys, I'm mucking around with getting on the system for my end, but now, hang on, give us 2 secs.
It can also be modified by using that smaller ball size. So as we know with the NetSetGo Packs, participants receive that size for netball, or the NetSetGo ball, I should say. The quarters are often also reduced to 10 minutes compared to the 14-minute quarters. And lastly, umpiring. So umpires are encouraged to help participants as much as possible. So whether that be jumping onto the court at the start of the season, showing them, how much is 3 feet, where should they be standing, what's contact, etc. By the end of the season, you want to slowly progress the competition. So at the start, it might be incredibly modified. The umpires are helping out constantly and really supporting those participants. But slowly over time, they should be picking up those new skills and those new rules. And by the end of the season, it should be pretty much looking like almost a junior competition. At the end of the day, the Go competition is developing participants to be ready for that junior comp. So what you don't want to happen is to them to be really babied for the whole season and then jump into juniors and have this almighty shock. So it's all about progression. NetSetGo participant pathways. Sorry, one more second. So with your question, I think it's Katrina. I'll go back to that PowerPoint. So especially with the goalposts, we understand that not all centres are able for it to be modified. In the Go comp, you can either use the smaller or the larger goalpost. We just know that, of course, the smaller height will be easier for those children. Also with the ball size, we still do encourage for them to use the size 4. With the timings, especially with those shorter quarters, and umpiring, as I said, it's a slow progression. So at the start, you might be really, really helpful and easy on them, but during the season or by the end of the season, it should be looking like a junior comp. Hopefully.
And just to add to that, some associations are quite different about how they do the modification. So yeah, we definitely encourage that all these aspects are put into place. But some, like particularly the goalposts, as Tara just said, there may not even be, access for them to make those shorter, etc. So obviously we just encourage you to and put as much as you can. But obviously things like ball size, timing and umpiring is something that can definitely get put in place for this.
Awesome. Hopefully that's answered your question. So the NetSetGo participants pathways. So as we know, we start off as a NetSetGo participant. The next step, so we encourage for them to at least have a season in that net or set tier. Basically, net and set is designed to develop the fundamental motor skills, teach participants how to catch, how to throw, how to shoot, as well as, be around others. It's all about giving them that confidence to then go into the Go competition, which is more so run by an association or league. As I mentioned before, all under 9s do need to be a Go competition. That's really, really important. And then the Go competition would then lead into that Netball Victoria pathway. So juniors, seniors, state level, the works. Hopefully one day they might be a vixen, but you never know. Okay, NetSetGo Packs. So firstly, each participant does receive a NetSetGo pack. So participants only receive a NetSetGo pack for their primary registration. Therefore, if they register at the start of the year, they'll receive the pack. But then if they register for another program later on, they won't receive another pack, and they also won't pay for the membership fee. In 2019, the membership fee is $66. So that includes the pack as well as the Netball Vic insurance. The NetSetGo pack contains the NetSetGo t-shirt. It's really, really important that when you're promoting your program, that you also somehow mention that the NetSetGo t-shirt, the size isn't exchangeable. So sadly, we don't have any stock. It's not as if we can send it to people when they order the wrong size. So we always say here to order a size up just in case. We also have the t-shirt size chart on our website, which I'll show you when we look into that a little bit later on. Apart from the t-shirt, they receive that size 4 NetSetGo ball, as well as the Suncourt Super Netball playing cards and the Team Girls letter. Now, what happens if a NetSetGo pack has not arrived? So the first step is, has it been more than 4 weeks since registering? Then what you'd want to ask your participants is, have they moved house or moved to a new house within those 4 weeks? If not, have they checked their local post office and or spoken with their NetSetGo coordinator to see if they've received it? The reason why we ask for this to happen is because the NetSetGo coordinator's delivery address is the return to sender. Therefore, if something happened along the way with the post office and for some reason it's been pushed back to the return to sender, That's the coordinator's details, the coordinator's delivery address. So what you might find is a couple of months into your program, you might have a couple of packs jumping at your door, and that's why. Usually on the labels, it'll have the participant's name, so you'll be able to hand it to them at your session. And lastly, so you're not able to send packs to a PO box. It's also listed when you register. So just make sure if your participant hasn't received their pack, that they haven't sent it to a PO box. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into firstly the Netball Victoria website now. Okay. So if a participant has not received their NetSetGo pack and you followed all those steps, what you can do, so we're going to go back into that NetSetGo page. So get involved, play, Suncorp NetSetGo. Scroll down. If you go into this pack information section, if it allows me to click on it, maybe not. I'll go into frequently asked questions instead. All right, so if you look at the question, my child has not received their NetSetGo pack, what do I do? Click onto that. It has all those steps that I just explained in that PowerPoint. Okay, if all of them, if you know, it's been longer than 4 weeks, the address was correct, they've checked with their post office, they've checked with their coordinator, what we'd like them to do is click here and fill out the NetSetGo pack inquiry form. This is then sent to us so we can just verify that they've done all those steps, and then we'll be able to order a pack or a faulty item via Netball Australia to send to their address. So this doesn't have to be filled out by the NetSetGo Centre coordinator. I recommend just copying and pasting this link and send it to any participants that may be having any pack troubles. Okay, another step you can do. So if you're finding that a participant is having trouble with their packs, so jump into My Netball as the administrator coordinator. Sorry, as My Netball administrator, I should say. Search for the participant, so go people, person search. I'm just going to type my name here. Scroll down once you've pressed search. Press on this edit icon to the right-hand side. At the very top, you'll see a tab that says Workflows and then Pack Detail. Now, of course, I'm not a NetSetGo participant, so I don't have any pack details regarding a NetSetGo pack. So what I do have is a screenshot that I'll show you. So as you can see, I've removed the name and the ID of the individual because of course we want to keep that private. The next thing to look at, is the delivery address correct? So here you'll be able to see if they've spelt anything wrong or if the PO box is listed. And the last thing you want to look at is the batch creation date. So after this date, you usually give it around 4 weeks or so, or even 4.5 weeks, and the pack should arrive within that time frame. If you notice that there's no batch identifier or that there's something really sus going on and it just doesn't look right, or they may have registered weeks ago and there's no information here, please, please, please send an inquiry form to us so we can look into it a little bit more for you. But if you do have any participants asking about packs, etc., just make sure that you complete this step first before filling out that inquiry form. Right, NetSetGo equipment kits. So, 1st and 5th year centres receive an equipment kit, and then the years in between, they will receive a $75 RHS Sports voucher. So if you're a centre currently and you've either are meant to receive an equipment kit or you've received a voucher, firstly, make sure that you use that voucher within the year that you receive it, otherwise it will then be invalid. And if you've expected an equipment kit and you haven't received it, just send an email to netsetgo@netballvic.com.au so we can follow it up for you via Netball Australia. Within the equipment kit, there's 2 positional bibs, the 2 non-positional bibs, 5 skipping ropes, 5 spiky balls, 9 bean bags, 5 hoops, and 50 markers. So, the 2020 update, there'll be a new NetSetGo online shop. There's also going to be a new pack provider. Hopefully there'll be a massive reduction in pack delivery times due to it. We're very confident here at Netball Victoria. And there's lots of further updates to come. So all these details are currently being confirmed by Netball Australia. They're slowly feeding us information. As soon as we have some good, solid information that we can send out to our current NetSetGo centres or future NetSetGo centres, we'll do that immediately. So just make sure that you keep an eye out on your email or socials, etc., as well as that NetSetGo portion of the Netball Victoria website. We're incredibly excited. We're sure it'll pay off for you guys as well. Like I said, just keep an eye out for those details. NetSetGo events. So Netball Victoria deliver numerous events throughout the year. So we're just going to touch base on them just quickly. So NetSetGo training. So we deliver coach training. Coach training can be delivered to areas that we may, identify really require it. So it might be lacking that training, or associations or clubs reach out to us and say, look, we've got 20 coaches that are really keen to have this training done. Can you come out? They're completely free. They run for 2 hours and it'd be a max 30 participants per coach. It's incredibly valuable. As I mentioned before, keep an eye out on any emails regarding coach training, as well as the Netball Vic website and Facebook page, because we always promote our trainings via there. Information sessions. So we deliver training similar to what we're doing right now via webinar. They're free. They run for around an hour and a half or so, and they include elements of My Netball. Yet again, we deliver the information sessions to areas that appear really require it, or if someone reaches out to us. And lastly, we also deliver webinars such as this right now. This is our first webinar for NetSetGo training, so NetSetGo information sessions. We are wanting to do more next year, especially because we had such a great turnout when it comes to registrations for this. So hopefully you're finding it quite valuable. We'll get your feedback maybe at the end, or on a survey we'll go out to you guys, and we'll see how you felt about this whole webinar. If you are interested in any coach training or information sessions to be held at your venue, just make sure to send an email to netsetgo@netballvic.com.au. We're currently planning trainings for 2020 as well as late this year, and we're just collating all that data now to make sure as many people can attend as possible who are interested. Come and tries. So come and tries a really great way to potentially gain new participants. They're a free trial period and they are for no more than 4 sessions. We highly recommend for it to only be 1 session though, because you don't want people to, abuse this free session, these 4 free sessions, I should say. Some great ideas about come and tries could be a bring a friend day or a special event. So you might be able to secure an ex-player, or have it that you're celebrating the Diamonds or the Vixens one day, like you can see in that image to the right-hand side. Or you might just have it that new participants can have a trial run before they register. Now, to deliver a come and try, you must record these details. So if you record the date of the event, as well as the venue, the centre name, participant's full name, date of birth, address and phone and email, it will be covered by Netball Victoria's insurance. So if in the unlikely event that an accident does occur during their come and try, they will have that insurance that you would also have in a normal membership. We really highly suggest running a come and try session or having one of those options available for potential participants because they're a really, really great way of attracting new participants to your program and allowing them to have a feel of how it is before signing up. NetSetGo Week. So Netball Victoria celebrated our very first NetSetGo Week in 2019. We encouraged centres to run come and tries. So there was 14 centres who ran a come and try and 382 participants in total, which we're completely rapt about and super stoked. We also had our Melbourne Vixens Kids round. So there was a pre-game match, halftime performance, as well as NetSetGo activations all around the venue. It's incredibly popular. And if you were there on the day, you would have seen many, many NetSetGo shirts running around. And lastly, we had a social media takeover. So there was posts all over Facebook, Instagram. And there was also postcards sent out to NetSetGo participants as well. For 2020, we are looking to run another NetSetGo week and make it even bigger and better, which is incredibly exciting. So as I've mentioned before, just keep an eye out for any information. We always push it out to our centres as much as possible. Suncorp Super Netball experiences. So experiences include the halftime performance, high-fiving players, potentially pre-game matches, and if you are ever interested in being a part of our Suncorp Super Netball experiences, just send an email to netsetgo@netballvic.com.au. There is only 7 games that the Vixens, run in Melbourne a year, so unfortunately there's not many spots available. But if you aren't able to attend a Suncorp Super Netball game, there might be a photo shoot or other events that we will reach out to you for. So just make sure any interest to send an email to there. Okay, so incorrect terminology. What we constantly see on social media or on websites, etc., is the use of the incorrect NetSetGo terminology. So we no longer want to see Netta or NetSetGo spelt all lowercase. The San Remo is no longer one of our sponsors. NetSetGo should not be spelt like this either. And ANZ NetSetGo is also no longer one of our sponsors. NetSetGo email's wrong.
Oh, what did I do?
So the NetSetGo email is netsetgo@netballvic.com.au. Just ignore Tanya's message in chat and she'll write it again for everyone. So the correct terminology. So NetSetGo should be spelt with a capital N, S, and full capitals for the go. When you're promoting your tiers, you could call it NetSet or Go tier, or even a Go competition, which you'll see a little bit after. You could call it Suncorp NetSetGo, but NetSetGo is also fine. And as I just mentioned, if you are running a Go competition, it could be a Go competition or a Go round robin. If you are running a Go competition, it's especially important to mention NetSetGo somewhere in the name. All right, Netball Victoria roles. So we do administrate NetSetGo. We provide that training that I just mentioned. We do help with come and tries. So with the come and tries, they're often more so done in the regions. So the regions are out and about helping out those centres out there. We work with the Melbourne Vixens to deliver those Suncorp Super Netball experiences. And we also deliver the social media content via Netball Victoria's socials. So the socials would be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And we develop that Victoria specific collateral. So Netball Australia roles. So Netball Australia, they develop and design the NetSetGo program, which is a major part of everything. They develop that national collateral. They order the packs, the kits and the vouchers. So when we do have inquiries regarding packs, kits and vouchers, unfortunately, we may not have the answer instantly. And that's why we go to Netball Australia. They run the NetSetGo Instagram. So if you're a centre currently, or if you're a club, etc., delivering NetSetGo, and you have an Instagram account for your club, or centre, I should say, I highly, highly recommend that when you're posting anything regarding NetSetGo for you to tag Netball Australia's Instagram that they've made. They often share things or repost posts that people make, and you never know, whatever you post may feature on their feed as well, and you might gain new participants through it. So really, really good free exposure for you guys. So Netball Australia also own the Play Netball website, which we can have a quick look at now. So hang on 2 seconds. Awesome. So the Play Netball website, you'll be able to see it by just typing Play Netball in Google, and it's the first website that pops up. This website's completely brand new as of this year. It has all of that content that the NetSetGo website used to have, if you remember, or you've seen the old website, which no longer exists. To find information related to NetSetGo, it's under Kids. But this is more so the participant perspective. So, you know, where do I start? What will I learn? What's in my participant pack? Frequently asked questions. As an organizer, so I recommend going up to the top to organisers. I run netball. Scroll down. And you've got a couple of options here. So you've got the Get to Know Suncorp NetSetGo, which explains the Getting to Know Suncorp NetSetGo online coaching module, which we highly recommend for all coaches to complete. You've got the Plan Your Suncorp NetSetGo session, so that's got the NetSet and Go session plans in there. Reward your players, so that could be certificates, etc. Promote your club, so posters and all the collateral that they've produced nationally. And then reward your club with Woolworths. So Woolworths is their sponsors, so you'll often see Netball Australia working alongside Woolworths, or when they've when they've posted the Instagram videos regarding NetSetGo, there's often a connection to Woolworths in there as well. So we're going back to that PowerPoint now. Right, lastly, the NetSetGo Centre search. So I know we just jumped out of it, but we'll go back online. So the NetSetGo Centre search you would be able to find by selecting Find a Game. I've already done it, so we're just going to jump to the tab which has the NetSetGo Centre search. So when you press that Find a Game, the below options will appear, so it'll ask you what postcode, and then it'll ask what program that you're interested in. I've just put in the 3000 postcode, or 3000 I should say, and it comes up with all the centres in the nearby area. If I was to select one, hopefully it'll load for me, you can see that we've got West Devils Netball Club, and they're running a Go competition. Now this NetSetGo Centre search, it currently is being updated, especially for 2020. We understand it's not the prettiest or greatest working map at the moment, and we have passed on that feedback to Netball Australia, who've definitely received it, and they're currently making those alterations, which is very, very exciting for us. Jumping back to that PowerPoint. So the next thing we're going to look into is My Netball. So if you're the NetSetGo My Netball administrator, this could be really, really useful for you to hopefully learn some things or two off. As we've mentioned throughout this webinar, if you do have any questions, just make sure to pop it into that chat feature so we can address it for you instantly. Awesome. So I'm just going to go into My Netball at the top. I'll jump out of that pack detail that I was in before, and then I'll start off in Home. So as you could hopefully see in that top left-hand corner, I'm just in a test club account. Hopefully you can see my mouse as well on your screens. Perfect. So to go into the NetSetGo Centre registration, you're going to go into Programs. And then on the left-hand side, NetSetGo Centre registration. Now, I always recommend if you're chopping and changing, especially at the end of the season, via different years, So for example, if I've gone into 2018 and then I'm going to go back into 2019, just make sure that you always press that go to refresh everything just in case. All right, scrolling down. So the coordinator details appear on that NetSetGo Center map. So it's really, really important that if you don't want your full name or if you don't want that your phone number appearing, to not put it in here. It is mandatory for you to have at least a name and an email address. Hopefully many of you have have your own club's email address so you don't get bombarded with emails regarding NetSetGo to your personal accounts. Scrolling down to program details. So this is where your NetSetGo Center venue is located. So it's really, really important to have this address accurate. So if I go into Netball Victoria's address, so Netball Victoria's venue right now, I'm just going to press Manage Venues. Go into that edit icon on the right-hand side. As you can see, I've got the name of my venue, I've got the street address, suburb, postcode, state, country, etc. You don't necessarily need to add any comments or a street directory map reference. Of course, we do want it active though.
With that active, just make sure you definitely have that ticked, because often what can happen is people forget to tick that, and then they're not, like, they put their link out for their registration and then obviously no one can see it and go into it. So it is quite a common problem, so it's a good one to take note of to make sure you do.
Awesome. This Google error, it does come up all the time, so just press OK and it'll go away and there's no issues. It doesn't affect anything either, it's just a little glitch that's going on. If you notice that your venue might be down the road, feel free to just grab that pin and drag it across as well. Something that we highly recommend is adding the latitude and the longitude. The reason for this is if your NetSetGo Center is not appearing on the NetSetGo Center search and everything else is correct, so you know your program's active, you've got everything else approved, but for some reason your venue isn't appearing, usually the reason is because there's no latitude or longitude. Obviously not everyone knows the latitude or longitude off the top of their head, or I know definitely I wouldn't know. So just jump onto Google and search up latitude, longitude search, and there's often the first one that pops up that you can type in your address into to help you out. Of course, if you do make any changes to the venue, ensure you press save at the bottom. And then I'm just going to go completely back into that NetSetGo Center search. Awesome. As I mentioned before, if you do have any questions, make sure to pop it into that chat feature. So scrolling back down to the program details, so that's all about that venue, making sure that has to be accurate. Registration day details. So what this means is if you're having an event all about how to register for your program. So in the past, before, when everything was online, people often needed help about how to register online and needed that one-on-one assistance. Since it's been a couple of years now, and it has had a couple of, there's been a couple of years for people to get to know sorry, I've gone blank, the online registration process. There's no need to add any details into here. If you have added any details, what you'll notice is you won't be able to remove the date. That's okay, not many people do notice it. Just make sure that the venue or the instructions is blank. And then for next year, when you're redoing your NetSetGo registration, not to add anything into. What we'll do, Kay Goins, is we'll come back to your question in just a second.
Sorry guys, I've actually just gone offline myself. So Rhiannon's going to jump on and answer that question for you about the edit organisation details.
Perfect. So scrolling down to edit your programs. So with your NetSetGo program, your net, your set, and your go tier would be added here. So similar to a product in junior, senior, this is where your products essentially would appear. So what you can see is I've got a net program, net program, or my net tier. That's starting on the 5th of the 8th and it's ending on the 5th of the 9th. Just quickly, we recommend for all NetSetGo programs to run for at least 8 weeks time as well. With the cost, you have to make sure that it's a minimum of $66 since this is the Netball Victoria membership fee. And as we mentioned before, if someone is paying again later on in the year, what will happen is it will just be completely discounted when they go to register. All right, so if I press on this edit icon, I'm going to go into it even further. So you've got your program type, my start time, activity start date, the day of the week. The reason why you can't alter this is because it goes off what the start date is. The cost, as I mentioned, must be a minimum of $66. If you're charging any club fees, so for example, if I'm wanting to charge $20 on top of that $66, you'd have the total cost as $86. Scrolling down, so online registration open date, so that's when participants can start registering through your registration form. Online registration close date, so that's when participants are no longer able to register. Unfortunately, this date must be during your program, so you might have to make it at the very start of your program or at a day that suits you best. You might have some late starters, etc. The registration limit. So if you, for example, have only got one coach, of course you can't have 50 kids registered for the program, or else there'll be kids everywhere doing cartwheels, handstands, the works. So if you know you have got one coach, then you might set your limit at 15. Once it reaches that 15, participants will not be able to register anymore. Registered participants too. So if you are a centre and you have numerous associations as your parent organisation, so for example, I might be with Parkville Netball Association as well as Altona Netball Association, but my Go Kids would be a part of Parkville. So this is where you can select Parkville or, test Netball Victoria for them to see those participants in their competition. Of course, you'd want the registration period to be the year that you're running your program. Make sure active is ticked when you want participants to be able to register. If you don't want them to be able to register, just untick the tick box, I should say. I highly, highly suggest that you add a description for each of your tiers. So whether that description include who your coach is, where the venue is, even though we know that the venue is already listed. Look, as the more detail that you put into the description, the more the parents and guardians would absolutely love you because it helps to explain your program that little bit more. And scrolling down, so you can see myself as the coach. If you do select this tab and there's no coach that appears, what we'll do in a second is just show you how to add a coach here. So if you do make any changes, just make sure to press update. And then I'm going to scroll back down. And you can see that net program there. So the reason why this red section has appeared is it's telling me that I haven't saved everything. So I have to scroll back down to the very, very bottom. Press update changes. You can see that it's updated successfully. And then scroll down again. So as you can see, that red is no longer appearing. So everything's updated, which is great. Scrolling down. So information in this section too does not appear on that NetSetGo Centre search. So you don't have to be worried about participants knowing your personal details, your number, your business name, the works. The reason why we do need this information is for the packs to, of course, be sent to the right address, or the equipment kits, etc. And of course, it's nice for us to have that there just in case we may need to send you extra collateral, etc. So ensure that you've got the first name and last name, that the phone number is accurate, If you are not involved with the business that has a delivery address, just list your NetSetGo Centre name here. Add in any delivery instructions if needed. Add into that address section your address, making sure that it's not a PO box either. Now this my address cannot be found will always be displayed, so don't be alarmed if you're typing in an address, you know, it does find your address and this is still here. It's just a little glitch, of course. So once you do make any changes or when you're creating your NetSetGo application, make sure that you tick all these boxes. Scroll to the bottom and press Update Changes. Awesome. So that's the Program Settings tab. The next tab we're going to look into is the Registration Setup. So scrolling down in the Registration Setup, we always want the title to have the year as well as NetSetGo mentioned. The welcome page top description is really, really important as well. So if I go into the edit section, I can add in any information here that participants might find valuable. As I mentioned before, the more information that you put in, parents and guardians will be much more appreciative and understand where they should be going to register or what tier they should be registering for, etc. if you're running more than one program. So you can make any changes. I've got all these other functions at the top here. Now I'm just going to press Update and then continuing scrolling down. There's not necessarily any features that you need to be changed here. You might notice that the contact name and the email address is different to what you've listed in the coordinator details. The reason for this is these contacts come from what is listed as your principal user or who's listed in the split payment setup. Scrolling down to the payment gateway. So all NetSetGo centres need to be on the MPS disbursement gateway, otherwise known as split payments. So what that means is, if I use my example that I did before, so if I'm charging $86 for a program, so that $86 includes the $66 membership fee, instead of that $86 coming directly into my centre's account, the $66 will go to Netball Victoria and the $20 will go directly into my club's account. So this must be online, so you can't allow offline payments and don't allow it here either. Make sure to tick Apply to Online Payments. And the reason we include that fixed and variable charge, so that fixed charge of 0.31, the variable charge of 1.78, is so you as a centre don't pay for that small online transaction fee. So it's usually around $1.40 or so. So instead of you paying, it means that your participants will pay for it. If you do want to pay for that, which we highly discourage, you'll just remove those figures here. So scrolling down again, one key thing to note is the currency format. Do not add your program fee here. Otherwise, it'll times it by the program fee you've listed in your program settings. So the currency format is just the Australian dollar, so just keep the $sign. All right, we're going to scroll down again. So you do have the personal fields and other fields. Now you are able to add custom fields to your NetSetGo form. We won't touch base on that just yet, but we will show you where those quick reference guides regarding that is to help you out. So scrolling down, I'm just going to press save just in case I made any changes. And that's essentially the two tabs that are really, really important to take note of when you're creating your NetSetGo application, as well as when you're just updating and maintaining things. To find your NetSetGo registration link, so there's two options. So you can either scroll down to the very bottom and you've got the public link there. So I'm just going to press on it now. You can see I've got that Test Club 2019 NetSetGo. If I scroll down, I've got the Welcome to NetSetGo. And you can see I've added testing purposes only. What you'll also be able to notice is I've got my net tier, and you can see my little ad here with please register here if you are blah, blah, blah. And then this center is for testing purposes only. So when you've got multiple tiers, I highly suggest, as I mentioned before, adding your venue or coach or any other details. It might be Team Dolphins or etc. And it's really, really helpful. So the link isn't available unless you're approved as a center. So make sure that when you complete your NetSetGo application form, which I'll just go back to in program settings, you'll see at the very, very bottom that I've got my application status as approved. So when you fill all this out and you've ticked all the boxes, if you have not been approved yet, there'll be another box here saying submit application or something similar along the lines to that, which will then come to us for us to approve. If there is any issues with your form, we of course will contact you or send you an email to work through it with you before approving it. Now the second section for you to find your NetSetGo registration link is by scrolling up. And then next to my net tier, you'll see the rego form and then view. So same thing, you've got the test club, welcome. You can see my descriptions that have been added. And then instead of having the tiers, it'll just take you to that get started button. Awesome, so we're gonna exit out of that. If you do have any questions about the NetSetGo Center registration, make sure you just put it into that chat or email netsetgo@netballvic.com.au if anything comes up after this as well. Now, I did mention before about adding a coach. So just to reiterate, when you're creating your program, so scrolling back down, if I go on to that edit icon, scroll to the very, very bottom, then you can see me as a coach here. So this is a new mandatory field that was implemented this year. Obviously, since it was new, not many people had a coach ready to go. So it was probably one of our #1 questions at the start of the year. So to add a coach, so I'm just going to exit out of that. And I'm going to go back into person search for this. Now, if your coach has ever registered for your center before, so especially if you're a club or an association, it's more likely for them to have registered before in the past, or they may even be registered currently. They'll appear if you search for their name in the system. So I have been a part of this club before, so I'm going to search for my name. Yet again, I'll go to that edit icon on the right-hand side. And to add me as a coach, you go into the activity tab in the top, roles on the left-hand side. You can see that I'm currently a junior coach, but what I'll do is I'll attempt to add myself again. So you've got add new role. The role will be team official. The sub role will be junior coach. And then you just select add role. So it's as simple as that. So if your coach has previously registered or they're currently registered through your association, club, center, etc. By registered, it's not as a NetSetGo participant. It just means that they need to be registered into your administration side of things. So if they have done that, then all you would have to do is go into person search, activity, roles, press on team official, junior coach, and then add. Ooh, 1 second, sorry guys, I'm trying to get out of this. All right, if your coach has never been a part of your center's My Netball portal before, but they have had a My Netball profile, which they should, because all coaches need to have that membership to cover insurance, of course. Okay, so you go to add new person. I know I'm a part of this test club, but I'm going to search my name again. So it's a little bit different. So if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see all the options for my name, this being me. So all you'd have to do is press transfer. And this does not affect their account at all, apart from creating a role to their name. You can see an error has occurred for me since I'm already a part of this organization, but if you were doing this for anyone else, the exact same screen would appear. So I'll just continue on pretending that that error isn't being shown. So if I scroll down to the very, very bottom, of course, same thing here. So you create the role, you create the role as team official. As a sub role, you would go junior coach and then transfer. As I said, mine's not working because of course I'm already a part of this account, but you would have the exact same screen up here for yourselves, just it would allow you to do so. So yet again, if you're ever in that program, if you're ever in your NetSetGo Center registration and you're needing to add a coach into your tier, just make sure that, of course, you do add them because we want it to be precise, especially if we need to contact them for any reason. And there are those two ways of adding them as well. There is resources about it, so just in case you do forget, I'll show you where those resources are found in a second. But just please ensure that you keep that in mind, especially since there may be a high turnover rate in coaches for NetSetGo. And as I mentioned, we want those details to be accurate just in case we need to contact them. All right, so that's all for my netball just now. As I've mentioned, if you do have any questions, just make sure to add them into that chat section. All right, going back into the PowerPoint. Distributing the registration link. So you can either distribute it via email. So if you've already got your participants' emails from previous years, it's really, really easy to do. Just copy all those emails, chuck it into an email, of course, and add that registration link where you've just been shown where to find it. Social media platforms are a really, really great way to promote your NetSetGo program. They are free and you can add some funny pictures or, informing posters to really attract those new participants or ex-participants. If you have a website, it's really, really important to also have your NetSetGo Center registration form on there, since it's often the first place that people turn to find your registration link. Especially if you have your junior, senior forms on there, please ensure that you have a clear details regarding which forms is which, since they are different. The reason that they are different forms is because of that NetSetGo pack. Lastly, they could also find it through that NetSetGo Center search. Of course, all of your My Netball needs to be correct for your map to appear, for your center to appear on the map. Handy mobile apps. So the first app that we wanted to touch base with you guys is the My Netball app. So if you haven't yet downloaded the My Netball app, I highly, highly recommend it. It's quite easy to use. It's completely free to download, and you're also able to find the NetSetGo registration link through there. So especially if it's ex-participants and they've already got the My Netball app, all they'd have to do is type your NetSetGo Center name in the top right-hand corner, press on your center, of course, and it will come up with the forms available to register. The second app that not many people have heard of is the Safe Netball app. So you're able to report issues through here, as well as complete safety audits, etc. It's a semi-new app as well. So we're trying to get more people on board, especially those associations and leagues. All right, NetSetGo resources. So we do have those NetSetGo resources on the Netball Victoria website. So we're going to quickly jump into that now again. So I'll go back to Netball Vic at the top. I'm just going to press that home. All right, so the first lot of resources, yet again, it's found in Get Involved, Play, Suncorp, NetSetGo. scroll down and you've got the resource library here for NetSetGo specific, I should say. So there's some specific NetSetGo My Netball resources. So NetSetGo collaterals, so there's posters, social graphics, certificates, etc. Coaching, so we've got the session plans on our website and we've also got the modified rules summary. Learning, so if you haven't completed the Getting to Know NetSetGo online module, I highly recommend jumping onto this Getting to Know NetSetGo quick reference guide. It'll tell you all the steps to complete the module. You can also send it to all your coaches that may potentially start coaching the program or are currently coaching the program. So jumping back into resources. And lastly, we've got the inquiries. So the NetSetGo Pack inquiry form is here, as well as Netball Victoria refund information. Now, other My Netball resources can be found under affiliate services. So you can either click here, but I'll show you the long way as well. So sorry, it's still called member services, but it does have a new name, which is affiliate services. So if we go down to My Netball, scroll down and you'll see their resource library. Now there are plenty of resources found in here. So if I go into quick reference guides, you'll see there's resources to do with organisation details, registration, plenty of registration I should say, the competition management section, individuals, and there's little descriptions underneath each of them as well. So especially if you're also administrating the junior senior side of your club or centre, I should say, and you've got any questions, I highly recommend either looking at the resource guides here or through that NetSetGo portion. All right, back to the PowerPoint. Now, the other resource is the Play Netball website as well. The Play Netball website has those Getting to Know NetSetGo. It's got the session plans for your club, the reward your players, and of course, some of the sponsorships with Woolworths. There's features in there as well.